Hello YouTube, welcome. So it is day, I don't even know, of our national lockdown, and I decided instead of doing the usual typed blog entry that I would do a vlog. So I've been working at home for the past week and a half, and it's been quite good, quite easy I must say. It's a bit strange not getting out every day and doing the things that you need to do, but it is also in the same token I'm a lot more productive. I've gotten a lot of things done, working a lot faster, etc. And I've also managed to deal with a lot of issues and problems which would have actually taken me off usual work by working from home. So yeah, it's been, like I said, interesting. But I thought today let's just chat a little bit about how I have set up my cloud-based servers. Bearing in mind these servers aren't used in production environments. They are used purely for research, development, playing, learning, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to take you now to the screenshot and you guys can take a look as I show you the way through how I've set everything up. And yeah, let's just check it out.
Alright, so first things first, this is my base operating system on my physical host in the data center. You'll see it's not a huge machine, but for my basic needs it's more than what I need. So this is my VM. This is an Intel Xeon E3 1230 version 6, 3.5 gigahertz, and I've got 32 gigs of RAM installed in this physical machine, and I'm currently running Windows Server 2019 Standard. Now, from this machine over here, it doesn't do too much. I am running ESET on here, obviously to keep it nice and secure, file security. There's nothing too particular. It's got a RAID 1 stack, two 1 terabyte drives, and then over here we have my virtual machines running off it. So you'll see I've got my Unify, I've got my cloud PC, my Kali Linux machine, a MikroTik router virtualized. PBX01 is my home PBX, which I use just as a toy. PBX02 is an asterisk based box, which I also use for testing and playing around. I actually turn it on off whenever. I've just left it on now, but you'll notice I am utilizing quite a bit of RAM at the moment, so I'll probably shut that one off when I want to bring other things back in. Then I've got a pfSense firewall, which is the perimeter firewall for any of the virtualized machines that I'm running, such as PBX1, PBX2, SIP. They sit inside the pfSense firewall. Then I have a Sophos firewall, which is the firewall that this machine sits behind, as well as my cloud PC and my Kali box. So let's just have a look at the Kali box quickly. If you have a look at this guy, he is quite a decent little machine. It's just a virtual machine which I can also RDP into, etc., and it's for my pen testing and whatever else I would need. It does work very well. Then I've got my cloud PC, which I'll log into just now. I'll show you guys that one. And then I've got my Unify controller. So my Unify controller is basically a Debian box with the Unify software installed, which controls my home wireless network. But we'll go into that a bit later. Let me get back to you now. I just want to log into my Sophos firewall so you can have a quick look at that. Right, so I've logged into the Sophos firewall, which is the perimeter device for that server and for my small machines. This device isn't accessible from outside. It's only accessible on network or via VPN. It's not a very complicated setup, but I like to play around here and learn and test scenarios for work. I am the Sophos architect at work, so I tend to have to test a lot of things and work them out before we actually put them into production on a site, and then create problems for the client which could occur. So this is where I would do all my testing, my rule testing, etc. And it works very well. It's actually quite nice. It also brings the VPNs in, etc. I can check out my networks and different things. So it's a very lacquer thing. So now I'm going to jump over to the pfSense, which is the perimeter device for my web-facing servers. Yeah, we have the PF Sense. Yes, you can see the public IP, but I can tell you now that nothing is allowed in from the WAN interface. And then, yeah, we've got some sort of basic information here about it, load averages, etc. And it is a virtualized device, so it does work quite well. I enjoy using it. Then, keeping things a little bit interesting, we've got the MikroTik, my cloud-hosted MikroTik, which is basically a cloud router, and that takes care of pretty much any VPN tunnels to my home, etc. go through this device. And that's pretty much it. I'm not going to go into too much details here because I don't want to give away too much, but you can see my home is connected to it and my wife's mom's home is connected to this tunnel, so it allows me to manage the equipment from here without any issues, and then I don't have to go over there and make changes, whatever the case may be. Also, nice little playground for me. Then, in keeping with the theme of interesting, here we have my cloud computer. It is basically a complete virtualized PC, which I pretty much do all my experiments on again. Have all my personal things on, also running ESET, a couple other things. Also where I manage a lot of my cloud infrastructure that I play with and that sort of thing. So yeah, that's pretty much the cloud at the moment. I am busy looking at putting some other machines in place, but yeah, we'll get there at some point in time. Then we move into my home. This is my core router at home. You can see I've got my LTE, which is used for voice and as a failover, and then I've got my fiber link coming in. It's idling at the moment because it's late in the evening, no work is really getting done, and everybody has called it a day. Then you'll see over Ether 5, I've got a couple of VLANs, 5 VLANs running, and then 2 VLANs over my SFP fiber port. My home Wi-Fi Unify network sits on VLAN 2. VLAN 3 feeds an in-house Sophos lab, which I use for doing tests again with the Sophos stuff. It also protects my daughter and her internet access as a test. Then VLAN 4, I keep all my phones on there, keep them separate, managed. Then VLAN 5, Gate Protect. It's actually currently a PF Sense, but a nice powerful one. We will log into that in a little bit and you can have a look at the spec on that machine. Then VLAN 6 feeds a Cisco 1900 router, which is my Cisco lab, and a Cisco switch which sits inside that Cisco lab router. And then I've got 2 VLANs currently set up on an HP gigabit switch coming off the SFP fiber port from this router. So that is the main router. Then if we head on over, let's just have a look at my core switch. Let's bring that over here. So this is a CRS 326. I use this as my core switch. So what I do is I bring the VLANs in over here, and then I bridge them to whichever ports require what. And that's pretty much my home network. Phones, etc. are all running on here, as well as some of the labs and things like that. I'm not going to go into the IPs because that's stuff I don't want to let out. Here we have the first of the inside perimeter firewalls in my labs. You can see this is an Intel Xeon. It's got 4 interfaces. I'm currently using 2. Its WAN gateway is my core router. And then it has a LAN inside it, and I use it again for labs for testing. You'll see this is linked into OpenDNS, so anything that goes through here is also going through the Cisco umbrella system, and I'm using that just to filter the content that can be accessed through this device as a test. So yeah, it's quite an interesting exercise. My big pfSense firewall is currently switched off, so I'm not going to switch that one on right now, but that is a i5, 8 gig of memory, and a 300 gig hard drive with 8 interfaces, gigabit, and that thing is a complete beast. But it's also overkill for anything at home. I only really turn it on when it's needed because it is a loud device, and I don't like it running, buzzing so loud in the background. So yeah, that's the cause of the network. Then I do have multiple switches. In fact, I've shown you the core switch, which is the MikroTik running layer 3. So I'm running it in router OS because I just prefer the power and the agility of router OS over switch OS. We also have a couple of Cisco devices which are accessible through SSH, etc. on my network, but they all, like I say, sit inside the perimeter. So if we go to the one, let's just go. Here we've got a Cisco. This device is, there we go, it's my Cisco lab, and in here is where I do all my my experimenting and stuff like that on this lab device. I've got a couple of setups going on there, and it works quite well. Then also within that network, if you actually scroll up here, we can have a look. I tend to forget because I don't play with it very often, so it's using the core MikroTik as its gateway. That's its last destination route out. Then it also has an on-net. There we go, 16254. So if we head along now to 172.16.22.53. We should hit the switch that sits inside. So now I'm not doing any filtering or anything like that on that device because I don't see the necessity in it. Internet browser continue, and from here you can connect to the web interface of the switch that sits inside. It's a Catalyst 2960, it's an old 48 port. It's quite a beast of a switch actually, and then I can do the VLANs between that and whatever else as tests. As you can see, currently there's only the uplink port plugged in, but yep, that's pretty much that device. It sits inside the lab. I have another one of these, but a 24 port, not in this lab. It resides on the inside of the big PFSense firewall, which is currently switched off, but it's a 24 port with fiber SFP ports, etc. Also Cisco. Very nice device. Then I've got the HP managed switch, which also works quite well. And yeah, that's pretty much covering what you see on the videos, what the front end was. Now you've kind of seen what the back end of things look like. It's interesting for those of you that actually enjoy IT and like checking this sort of stuff out. If you guys have got any questions on how I've done anything or need any advice on anything, drop a comment and let's see what we can get for you. Cheers for now.